Welcome to the 2025 Tire Rack One Lap of America presented by Grassroots Motorsport Magazine. It's Solomon and Bryan. Today we are joined by Keepsake Farm Racing. We've got Nikki and Ray. I say Ray because he was last to get up to the starting line, so we'll talk about the punctuality later. But Nikki and Ray, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Why don't you give us a brief introduction about yourselves?
Sounds good. Ray, you want to start?
Sure. Well, thanks for having us. We're really looking forward to 2025, despite the car still being in pieces. The engine cylinder head is on the floor. But this is our second year doing one lap, and we choose to take the most difficult path and do it in a vintage car because it is truly a visceral experience, and rather do it in nothing else.
So, and I'm Nikki. I am Ray's sister-in-law, and we started this crazy thing together when Ray decided that he wanted to do One Lap America, pitched it to me, and me being a kid growing up who always had every road atlas in my room and would like daydream road trips and things, it just struck a nerve, and I'm like, absolutely. I love driving, always have, and so I was like, I just barely learned to stick, and I'm like, let's do this. And so ever since we've been doing that in the 2002. So
that's awesome. It's a pretty unique background. So before we start diving deeper into that stuff, so why the name for the team, Keepsake Farm Racing? What's the backstory there?
So we did not have a team name. We realized registration was open. I had to come up with something. We actually have a horse farm, and it is Keepsake Farm. So out of abundance of creativity, we just decided to create a wrapper for our the operation of our race cars and our track cars, and it has perpetuated beyond just one lap, but also our actual track cars, all vintage cars as well. But that is the genesis of it. My wife, our attorney, has set up legal entities named as such to keep up with our creative naming.
I can't let this one go.
It's a small horse farm, and it's a low horsepower car, so it works.
I see. But I'm gonna you touched on something for a second here because you said your wife, your attorney. Do you two get into that much trouble where you need an attorney on call frequently?
I don't think we've passed the statute of limitations to talk about that, right?
Got it. Fair enough.
It depends on the state. It depends on the state.
Well, Bryan, would you like to point to them behind you? There you go. All right, Bryan, go ahead since you're pointing out the weather map. It's our weather girl.
So Ray, why vintage cars? Do you just have a bunch of them lying around, or have you always been into the older BMWs?
I've been into BMWs for a long time, and I wanted something that was easy to work with, and it didn't have the nannies, to be honest. And I think one of the most satisfying experiences with that car is you could take it to a driver's school, and as long as the track does not have a very long straight, I could stay behind someone in a car that's only a year or two old and many hundreds of $1,000s more expensive, and the look on their face when I ride their bumper for a whole lap is truly profound and satisfying.
No, please go ahead.
I actually moved to BMWs because I was sick of the pain. I grew up with vintage Alphas, so I figured it was a step up. It didn't have to deal with as much rust and as bad electronics.
I grew up with MGs and Triumphs in our front yard, so you know, the Lucas Electrics. I get your. So I noticed you say the word visceral with relation to these. That's kind of like the word magical that we would use with the British racing stuff. It was just really another word for shit. You know, it is at the end of the day and pain in the ass. I get it. It is lovely that you put it that way. So I'm going to touch on something Nikki said for a moment. So you talk about, when you were a kid, you always looked through atlases and you had the idea to do these road trips. I remember back when I first started getting involved in this crazy world, the first road trip I was sticking my head out the window with the really terrible digital camera and taking photos of all these really neat landscapes that wound up looking nothing like what they actually did because it flattens it out terribly. And I think that's something that we haven't really spoken about on these interviews. So why don't you touch on that a little bit? I mean, last year was your first year, and I think a lot of us forget that kind of magic to seeing the country in that way, particularly if you haven't done so before. So why don't you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's funny because I feel like I can like wax poetic about just driving through America. Just it's something that I don't know, there's just something to me about the road being its own character in this narrative with us, right? Like the challenges it throws at you, the places that it takes you, just that exploration of the road has just always been so, I'll use the word magical since I also grew up with Triumphs, just so like captivating to me. And so I've also had a really like a love for vintage cars my whole life as well. And so pairing the two together was just when Ray offered that, I was like, I wouldn't want to do this in anything else but vintage. You feel the road, you hear the road, it becomes a part of the car as much as you are it. And I just, when our windows don't even fully go up, they don't sit flush against the car. Like you really are just part of it. And so just hurtling across America in this like time capsule of steel is just so beautiful to me. And I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Hurtling is an ambitious word, but we'll go with it.
It feels like it when the windows do this against.
Well, I was going to say the window gasket gaps actually help us tell our speed, and when it starts vibrating excessively, we know we might be in need of our attorney.
Especially since the speedometer is not fully accurate either.
Lovely. So different pitches dictate different, okay, I got you. You need a weather vane on the back or like it sucks. So if it's spinning faster, you know how fast you're going. All right, Bryan, go for it.
So a couple of things in the pre-questions, talking about Nikki being your co-driver and sister-in-law, and the reason why your wife refuses to go on this trip with you. And the second part of this question, are you still finding tumbleweeds in the car?
I'll answer the first part. My wife is very supportive of the vintage cars. My wife actually has a 1965 Beetle that is very fast and has a very big motor in it. However, riding in a vintage car for more than 15 or 20 minutes loses its luster, especially when you don't have climate control. And my wife has become accustomed to a certain quality of vehicle. And if she is not driving, she wants nothing to do with it, but is very supportive of my and Nikki's shared hobby.
So to be fair, you started in a vintage vehicle. You did not finish in a vintage vehicle. I believe the vehicle that you finished in had air conditioning. So is there talk about her meeting you along the way?
It did. And the first thing I said to Ray when I got behind the wheel of that the gem of Chevrolet, that little Chevy Malibu that was grayish colored, I turned the steering wheel and I went, oh, it has power steering.
That's what these things do.
I've forgotten what that felt like. And the amount of times that I hit my left foot against the floor looking for the clutch was many as well, because it was an automatic.
I think there was one point where I think we were pulling up to the light. She went for the clutch, hit the brake, and I swear my head hit the dashboard. And she yelled, and Nikki yelled at me for being overly dramatic.
It was very dramatic, but you've met Ray, so.
Excellent.
And tumbleweeds, I think we got all of them when we pulled the engine out.
Very nice. So going back to the road element, so what types of things are you looking forward to this year? I mean, have you started things like a food blog or things of the stuff that you're kind of looking forward to this year, apart from like Hertz rental counters? So what are you looking forward to there?
That's a good question, Ray. Do you have any?
Well, I was going to say Nikki has done a tremendous job in reaching out to product providers for manufacturers for which we have consumed, particularly caffeinated beverages and sources of high density protein. for us to consume and stay awake safely. So there will be stickers on the car for several of those brands. But in terms of preparing, I've actually taken up, I've worked with the BMW 2002 community to find every person that owns a 2002 with reasonable parts along the route and reputable shops. And some of those I've already tested out. If I recall it, I will remind you when we found out that Pittsburgh was spelled incorrectly on the map, was the day that I drove the second half of the leg of VAR to Pittsburgh to a 2002 mechanic in Pittsburgh. So we have practice in executing the plan.
Well, and
we
he's
not only
fully
spelled
supporting us,
Pittsburgh
that
wrong,
mechanic.
we put the wrong tracks on the map too.
Yeah, but that's
So that whole
there.
map behind Bryan's wrong, by the way, just so you know.
Does it still have Tennessee on it?
No.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Taking it off. We supplanted it with something better. Graysville. Go ahead, Bryan.
Oh, I thought it was your turn. Oh,
I just went.
Oh, okay. So,
we're pros.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously.
Highly polished.
Well, if we want
the stories are so riveting.
Yeah. I was just to say, if we want to fill time, I still don't know who was it that when we were following the truck for about 2-3 hours, which leg was that? That was going to Corvette Museum. When we were following you guys in the truck, the code messages that were being sent via the iPad out the window. Who was that in the back seat?
What code messages? What types of messages do you speak of?
All right. Well, we digress. Let's continue.
That was probably me. That's
All right. So tell us about your. I noticed on your entry the charity Canine Connections. How about tell us a little bit about that? I think Nikki's the one with the involvement there.
Sure. So Canine Companions, long story short, they are a national nonprofit organization that provides highly trained assistance dogs to adults, children, and veterans with disabilities, ranging from PTSD to folks in a wheelchair and folks who are deaf or hard of hearing. And there's a lot of stuff in between. There's a lot of cognitive disabilities they cover as well. So the dogs, when they are fully trained, which takes about 2 years, they're estimated to be worth about $60,000, but to provide it completely free of charge to folks who need them. So what we do is we are volunteer puppy raisers. We get the dogs when they're 8 weeks old. The organization provides the dogs, they breed them. They've been around since the 70s, I believe, but don't quote me on that. They're the largest and oldest service dog organization in the country. And so they have their own breeding program. They send the dogs at 8 weeks old to puppy raisers like us all around the country. And we train them for about 18 months until they're about 18 months old, and then we give them back. We don't get to keep these dogs. It makes us sad to give them away, but we always say when you meet the people who receive them, the question is not how can we give them up, but how can we not? So they really go on to do amazing things. It's a really, really good cause, and we've been involved with them since about 2009. So Ray, are we on dog 17 as a family raising, or 18?
I think your mom's on 18 plus the 2 or 3, the 3 that we have raised, my wife and myself. So that puts it as 21 dogs, to my knowledge, that we've done this with. And I married into it, but I absolutely love it. To Nikki's point, it's heartbreaking when you turn the dog into what we say go to college for the finishing training. However, when you meet the people that the dogs go to, and how how one of these dogs changes their lives and gives them their mobility back. One of the people that got one of the dogs, actually, the first person I met that received a dog from my wife's family, said it was like getting his legs back. He was he paralyzed waist down, and the dog literally gave him mobility and access and the ability to be self-service, to convey himself as if he had his legs back. And since then, I'm like, I will do whatever I can to support this organization.
That's outstanding. And I'll tell you right now, if you all are around May 29th, so we're going to do a little plug here for something else that we do. We host a veterans fundraiser and track day at New Jersey Motorsport Park in conjunction with NASA, our sanctioning body for the one lap. So you're more than welcome to come up there, sort of promote the service there. Because in fact, our first year that we did this, we had Brandon Holiday, and he that's what he does. He trains all this, so he would be the college that they would go to before moving on. So certainly something we're familiar with, and if your guys are available, please come on up. We'd absolutely love to have you. It's a great cause, and if I had a hat on, I'd tip it to you.
Yeah, as long as the car's not broken.
What's that?
As long as the car's not broken.
Haven't you gotten your map with lots of cars out here?
Right. We might finish this in a whole nother 2002.
Alternately, there's always a Chevy Malibu.
It's always there.
There you go. All right, so let's talk tracks for this year. Obviously, you guys have a lot of experience. Pittsburgh hosts a Vintage Grand Prix. We know some other people that are going to be running there. I don't know if you're going to that this year, but out of all the tracks that we're going to this year, what kind of gets you the most excited? Could be different answers.
Nikki, go ahead.
I love VIR. Ray knows this. I love VIR. I'm so excited for it. I did an HPDE weekend there one weekend, and it was such a fun track. It's just fantastic. And there is a long straight on that, which is not the most fun to do in the 2002. But then when you catch people on the turns that passed you on those, and then they have to give you that point by, it makes it worth it. I caught a Corvette on that once, and I was just like, any idiot can go fast in a straight line. But when you catch up to them in the car that we drive, it's like Ray was saying earlier, it's pretty funny to see their faces when they come up to you afterward and say like, how'd you do that? Like, let me show you.
Nitrous.
You make the hamsters run faster in the
exactly.
It does. I too am a fan of VIR. Very big fan of Pittsburgh. Love the elevation there, and especially the hairpin. But I will say, Hedge Hollow. It was last year was the first time I've been there. Very new track, gorgeous facility, and the way the event was run, it's run well at every venue we go to. But the technology that Hedge Hollow deployed to help make it helped the event run smoother. And it was really great when I got to watch Nikki out on track. I went up to the room with Brock, and I watched Nikki. There was never a point where I couldn't see her, and I trust her with my car. But sometimes it's nice to just monitor.
That's fair.
Trust but verify. I got you.
I'm also excited for NCM because we're going back there this year, right? NCM.
We are, and we're gonna call in advance for rain, just to go out when Randy's group goes out, just to really mess with them and Tomo again. So that's the plan. Yeah.
That's good because we
tornadoes,
didn't
right?
do the second part last year.
We did. The second half was impeded by tornadoes. It happens.
Well, and we were missing one of the caps to one of our carburetors, so we had duct taped it. And I know, so Ray took it out in the morning session and duct taped it. He's like, okay, I'm going to see how it does in the afternoon session, and we'll see how it works. And I'm trying to track down an extra cap from somewhere along the way, and ended up finding one. But it was that day was a mess for us.
So I think we can share a good story as to where we finally found a piece to a Weber carburetor.
Yeah.
Along the route. So Nikki, in her ability to scour the internet for people and track them down, we found a very, very famous BMW collector in Cincinnati whose collection manager pulled parts off of a race-winning vintage 2002 to put on our car. And we obviously returned the parts afterwards. But the story that we found a BMW collector along the way, and we pulled parts, was very much in the spirit of One Lap. And after that, that spirit of non-participants in helping us was exhibited again when we got to Pittsburgh. There's a gentleman that runs a 2002 shop who's actually become one of my very good friends.
Surprise.
Yes, helped us tear apart the engine when we were in Pittsburgh and it wasn't running right, to find out that the timing chain tensioner broke in the engine, and basically had the conversation of, you could run it and destroy it, or we could save the car and you just go get a rental car. So
now I will say, with the cap for the Weber carburetor that I found, I told Ray this whole story. We were en route to Cincinnati, and what we had done in the meantime was take a plastic jug cap and a washer and kind of like make our own little cap out of it. So it worked. And so we're driving there, and Ray goes, you know what? It's running fine. I think this cap is just as good as any other. Let's keep going. And I went, oh, no. We're stopping and we're getting the right part. Keep the jug cap in the washer in case we lose the other one. But let's go get it. It's better safe than sorry. It's only 15 minutes off the highway, and it's a cool story. And so I got his photo changing it out in front of the guy's house, and like, it was pretty cool. So I'm like, let's use this network we got. I don't want to burn any bridges by telling them, wait, never mind. You already pulled this off the car. So
German engineering at its finest. Yes, I get it.
I guess.
I just couldn't believe it. He didn't want to stop. I'm like, we're going to be the last to arrive at this rate anyways. Let's just stop.
So, Ray, you brought up something a little bit interesting, and before I give it over to Bryan to ask sort of the one of the last questions here, you brought up the technology element with these tracks, and last year, I think, was the first year that we've noticed a significant increase in the technology utilized by these tracks, because it wasn't just Hedge Hollow that had that big command central there. Pittsburgh had the same thing, and even High Plains. And it was hilarious because at High Plains, they have the same kind of a system where it's sort of like highlighting all the things that are there. And as all the tumbleweeds would come across, you would see like 4,000 little targets that would be popping up on the screen as they were blowing across the track. So that was pretty interesting to see. But I certainly think that the tracks have had to step up the technological aspect, which is supposed to help with identification of incidents and help recovery time and things of that nature. And I'm sure it does, because corner workers are only as good as their ability to keep their phone out of their hands these days. So yeah, certainly could be helpful there. But yeah, a good point you brought up. All right, Bryan, go for it.
All right, so a question that we normally ask at the front end that we've been missing left and right this year. So we know the car you're bringing. What tires are you running from the tire rack this year?
Well, I have not ordered tires yet, but we're probably going to run the Falcon 660 pluses is the new tire this year. As long as it's no wider, we don't have to roll the fenders and they'll fit. We are running 14-inch wheels, and it's a 195, so it's a very, very big tire for the car, but very small compared to everyone else. And we're limited in what's available in the size.
Our golf cart tires.
Yes.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. So as we get toward the end here, you mentioned that you guys have gone hunting for your own personal sponsors, and this is the opportunity where we give you to give them a shout. So what beef jerky, coffee, other stimulants are you going to be running this year, and who's helping you out?
So Element is providing us with some of their energy and electrolyte drinks. So we will be rocking the Element sticker on the back of our car. And then we have a local butcher shop here. I'm out in Winchester, Virginia. So we've got a local butcher shop, Blue Ridge Meats of Front Royal. They are providing us with 40 locally sourced grass-fed beef snack sticks. So we won't have to stop at pilot stations to buy beef jerky on the road. So that would be very helpful. And then my employer is also sponsoring us as well. I work for Trex Company. They make, we make composite decking and railing. So their sticker will also be on the car as well. So they're helping us with some of our entry fee there as well.
That's awesome. It's you got to bring a couple of extra the beef sticks for us, because we'll be the judges of that one. We've tried beef sticks from all over the place. Yeah,
I will save you a couple. I'm very excited about them because I have definitely gotten some things from them before, and it's good stuff. So very excited.
All right, sounds good. Bryan, are we missing anything?
No, No, I don't think so. I think we've covered the bases.
Well, I
We haven't embarrassed them too much.
There's still time.
Yeah, there is.
That's what one lap's for.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
We'll be catching up during the one lap without a question. We greatly appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Very much looking forward to seeing you both in person, having some fun, catching up over a drink in person. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us tonight. So for the 2025 Tire Rack One Lap of America presented by Grassroots Motorsport Magazine, should have an announcement on coverage after this episode. I'm Solomon, that's Bryan, Nikki, and Ray from Keepsake Farm Racing. I got it. I wrote it down somewhere. But we'll get you a better name for you down the road. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.
Thanks. Bye.